Seeing none, we'll move on. Senator Peck? We'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. He didn't tell me either. Okay, committee, we're going to start out with working this, our budget bill. We're going to start out, number one, with the Attorney General. Does anyone have any adjustments or provisos for the Attorney General? Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to start off and declare, first of all, this request was not made by the agency. However, there is a concern, and I think it's a legitimate concern about the safety and hearing of our officers that serve for both the law enforcement agencies. So this is a hearing protection for law enforcement programs in Kansas, and the request is for $3 million, and it provides that the expenditures will be made by the above agencies in the account in 2027. Oh, thank you. Basically, our officers would get a hearing aid, basically that protects your ears. And although you could hear with it, it's a different type of, it's not like the hearing aids that I am wearing, but it does protect the hearing from loud noises. And it will, I think in the future, save them from maybe having to wear hearing aids for the future if they had this. It's $3 million. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Questions on Senator Alley's proposal? Well, make your motion, would you?
Motion that we approve $3 million for the hearing protection for law enforcement program in Kansas.
We have a motion seconded by Senator Peterson. Now, questions or discussion? Senator Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I can certainly appreciate where we're coming from on this item. I think our law enforcement deserve so much more than what we provide. However, I just can't support new one-time funding from the SGF this year, recognizing the $1.6 billion that increases over the last 2 years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I just want to be clear. So this would be for officers employed by the Kansas Bureau of Investigation and the Kansas Highway Patrol?
Senator Alley.
That is correct.
Senator Petty.
Thank you. I also been cautious about one-time expenditures.
Other questions? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I heard State General Fund, but that doesn't specify. Is that where the money would come from?
Senator Alley.
That is correct.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The hearing devices would be put out for RFP. Is that correct?
Senator Alley.
That is my understanding.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Senator Petty.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up to that, because so it does say law enforcement officers employed by the Kansas Bureau of Investigation and the Kansas Highway Patrol. Then in the last sentence it says shall make such standard hearing protection available to local law enforcement officers distributed equally to agencies located. So what is it? Is it only the Bureau of Investigation and the Highway Patrol? Is it the Bureau of Investigation and the Highway Patrol? And there's going to be a grant, some type of grant program for local law enforcement officers? I'm unclear. Sorry.
I understand.
Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My understanding is this is for the Highway Patrol and KBI.
Senator Petty.
So could the revisor or staff clarify that last sentence?
David, can you check that for us, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, as the proviso is written, there would, of the 3 million total, there'd be 960,000 would be for the multi-use rechargeable custom ones and that would be for the KBI and Highway Patrol. So that'd be 960,000. And then the remaining 2.1 million would be awardees for grants to local law enforcement for off-the-shelf, multi-use completely in the canal, hearing protection products. So there would be both. There'd be the 960,000 for the KBI Highway Patrol, 2.1 million for local law enforcement, and there'd be two different, slightly different hearing protection products.
Other questions? Okay, everybody okay? All right. We have a motion, a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed?
No.
I think it fails. But all those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed? Motion failed. Next, we will have, yeah, okay. Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a proviso for the Office of Attorney General. Mr. Chair, for the sake of time, I can go ahead and explain this. This proviso stems from the work of the Government Efficiency Committee. We have had quite a few hearings on the availability of artificial intelligence and its ability to help in identifying fraud, waste, and abuse. And this would be an RFP to put out to allow the Inspector General, who's under the Office of Attorney General, to put out an RFP for a software package that would help them do what would normally take months of man-hour to physically look and try to go through line items in budgets, to use AI to flag those, and then those items would then get reviewed by staff. So it would greatly improve their ability to look at budgets and find inefficiencies. And so I feel like this is an investment in that department to help us recoup our funds. So
Would you like to make your motion?
I move that we accept this proviso for the Office of Attorney General.
We have a motion. We have a second. Senator Fagg seconds. Discussion. Senator Clapper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So on the 830,000, that's for the cost of running an RFP?
Senator Erickson.
Yes, that is to develop the proposal and then to secure a contract.
Senator Clem.
I'm in the wrong business. Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Senator Petty.
So I just remind the body that in future budgets, we're going to be looking at, we're going to be looking at the SNAP, and we're going to be looking at the request for software dealing with reducing the error rate on our SNAP applications. And that would protect us from losing federal funds of over 11, I think it's $11 million. So when we look at this and think about that in the future, I think those are dollars better spent that would protect our federal funds coming in to the state. So I just want to keep us to keep in mind as we think about this kind of program, new expenditure, and not protecting those things when it comes to our SNAP benefits that we already have.
Senator Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to the bringer of the motion, so we added 1 million SGF and 9 FTEs in this Inspector General's department. Will this software reduce the number of FTEs required? Because when this bill was passed last year, it wasn't contemplated that there would be a software that could significantly cut down on the man hours. So will this software then reduce the number of FTEs we've previously approved as well as the 1 million SGF?
Senator Erickson.
Thank you for the question. I think that initially, those FTEs will be needed until we do identify the fraud, waste, and abuse, but as time goes on, we could reduce those once we get our arms around it. Look, we have identified and heard multiple conferees testified that there are hundreds of millions of dollars if we could identify and find a way to bring those back. This will expedite that. And then I would be all for, once we recoup those savings and we have our house in order to eliminate FTEs. But I would like to get our arms around this and make sure we're being good stewards of taxpayer money.
Senator Owens?
Thank you.
Okay. Senator Holscher?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, my question was pretty much what Senator Owens asked, because, yeah, we did increase this budget pretty dramatically, adding these FTEs, saying that this was going to basically be the remedy to determine fraud. So now we have this proposal for something else, and yeah, it does make me feel like, you know, we maybe did this in the, maybe this was done in the wrong order or something, but I would, you know, it would seem prudent upon us to realize the savings now versus waiting and seeing if there are actual savings, because that's part of the concern here in terms of what actually would be recovered.
Other questions? Senator Alley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The heads that we added, the FTEs we added last year for the Inspector General were approved, but never funded. So I want to make sure that's clarified. We haven't had those heads to see if they actually could reduce that. So this will help, if we get the heads and the software, this would help that program.
Other questions? Senator Petty?
I know we have this, and I think the question was asked already about that this is for a request for a proposal. But do we know what the ongoing costs would be for this? Is this would this become an annual cost of $830,000? This is just year one?
Senator Erickson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the question. It would depend on the scope of the work we would want them to do. There are groups that have done this in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma started very small with a minimal cost. They found the benefit in terms of man hours and savings so important they expanded the scope, which once you do that, it would expand the cost. So it just depends on where we would target the software initially, but keep in mind also with those FTEs, the software simply flags an irregularity. It still takes people then to follow up on those flagged items. It doesn't do anything other than identify, so we're targeting and being more productive and efficient with those man hours.
Senator Holscher? Other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Peck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know how you want to handle this or handle me, but I would prefer it be gentle. When the Budget Committee report was given, the microphone is on. If you would just... I'm sorry, some of my senior colleagues can't hear, so I will get a little closer for the representative from Harvey, the senator from Harvey. In any event, when the Budget Committee report was given, now I can't see my papers here, I had several questions, and I have looked at this agency budget, and particularly in light of what we just added, which I supported, I don't think that we need to increase the FTEs and the funding nearly to the level we are. So I've got, Mr. Chairman, some suggestions, or I'll make a motion, and I don't know how you want to handle this for fiscal year 26. I know we've already received the Budget Committee report, but I just thought I would tell you that what my desire is, and then you can instruct me.
Well, that's what we're doing, is provisos and changes. So if you have changes, go ahead and make a motion and explain your proviso and then make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And on the Office of Attorney General for fiscal year '26, there are several that I have. Do you want me to go through these one at a time, or, because some may support some and may not support others, but
Then you might as well do them one at a time. That way,
to make it easier, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the benefit of the committee, on page 4 of the Budget Committee report, you will notice that on number 4, we add 9 positions to the Office of Inspector General. And I know that the Inspector General needs some positions, but this far into the fiscal year, I don't see how 9 positions and $318,000 can be properly fill the positions and the funding. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion that we reduce by 1/3, which would be 3, the number of positions, which means we will still leave 6 positions and delete $100,000 of the funding. And I just divided those 3, or the 9 into the 318,619. And so I'm actually leaving a few more dollars than necessary if you just divide it. So the motion would be to reduce the number of FTE positions from 9 to 6 and reduce the amount of the ad, which was not my idea, by the way, but reduce the amount of the ad by 100,000, so it would be 218,619.
and that's your motion?
Yes, sir.
And do we have a second? Second by Senator Owens. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And then on the very next one, number 5, you will see that we're in 26 still. We're adding $26,000 and an FTE position. And so I'm recommending, because of the fact that the reason given was that we had created a need by passing 2118 last year, but I'm not certain that for the fiscal year, and then we'll get into 27 a little bit because I don't touch this, but for the fiscal year, again, the motion will be to delete number 5, which is delete the 1 FTE and the 26,000 state general fund, because again, by the time we get through the process, we'll be way down the road, and I'm not convinced that this position and this funding is necessary in the Kansas Consumer Protection Act that we passed.
I have a motion. We have a second. Senator Owens? Questions? Senator Petty.
I just want to understand, so this is in 26,
26.
that you're reducing by 1 position, the inspector, or the investigator position, and you're reducing that 78,000 by 25,000? Am I looking in the right location?
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, on page 4, fiscal year 26, number 5.
Okay, I'm actually looking at the budget report that we
Oh,
had.
I'm on the one that was handed out previously. So it's 1 position, $26,025.
In 26, thank you.
Other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staying on page 4, number 6, this was legislation that I worked long and hard on, House substitute for Senate Bill 9. But again, in fiscal year 26, I don't even think that it's going to be necessary long-term, but that's a whole nother topic. So I'm going to make a motion that we delete 1.5 FTEs. They're requesting 2.5, so they will still have 1 FTE to administer the program for the remainder of 26, and delete $48,000 in funding, which will leave them with some money to pay the individual for the remainder of 26. And I'll be glad to answer questions, but that would be the motion to reduce the number of FTEs and the funding. So again, not eliminating anything here, entirely just reducing the expenditures to taxpayers.
That's your motion?
Yes.
Have a second? Senator Owen seconds. Discussion. Senator Petty.
Just need clarification again. Could you read your motion since we don't have it in writing?
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I did misspeak. It's deleting on number 6, 1.5 FTE and 35,000, not 48,000, 35,000 in funding. So we're still leaving one position and some funding for fiscal year '26.
Senator Petty.
And that is in what program in the Attorney General's office? Is that from the, since I'm looking at one thing and you're referring to the fiscal, and I don't have that right in front of me.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is to implement the Kansas Land and Military Installation Protection Act as passed in Senate Bill 25 last year.
Other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And then the final one on 2026 would be number 7. Again, they're asking for $80,000 and 2.5 FTEs. I'm making a motion to delete 1.5 FTEs, so we will still leave 1 FTE. And this is to establish the regulatory sandbox program that was passed last year. I don't think that this will require very much work, because if we hire an individual, we're looking at someone spending, in round numbers, Mr. Chairman, 2,000 hours a year. But again, for 26, the motion is to delete 1.5 FTEs, so we still leave a position, and to delete $48,000 of the funding that they had requested. So there's still funding to pay the individual, provided they can hire someone for this program.
I have a motion. I have a second by Senator Owens. Questions and discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving to fiscal year 2026, and moving, if you have your Budget Committee report, moving to page 7, number 1. This is, again, has to do with the Office of the Inspector General, which I will state right here, I am convinced that the Office of the Inspector General is going to provide a lot of benefit to the state of Kansas, but I think that we're getting a little bit too big, too quick, particularly, again, with the motion on the AI. And that would be to, the motion will be, they're asking for $1 million and 9 FTEs. The motion will be to drop the number down to 6 FTEs. So we reduce 3 FTEs and reduce the funding by $330,000.
That's your motion?
Yes.
And we have a second by Senator Owens. Questions and discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And moving, staying on the same page, number 3, the report added in $201,000 plus and 2.5 FTE positions for fiscal year 27. And this is for the Kansas Land and Military Installation Act, which again is something that we need to make certain we do, but I'm not convinced that we need as much as what they are asking for. So in 26, we reduced it down to 1 FTE. I'm in 27 deleting a half of an FTE, so we're actually adding an FTE, and the funding would be reduced proportionately for that half of an FTE. So we'd have 2 individuals dedicated to administer the Kansas Land and Military Installation Protection Act. And again, per employee, round numbers, the number of hours worked by an employee is 2,000 hours. So we're looking at 4,000 hours to administer this program. Personally, I don't think it'll take that much time, but my motion is to delete a half of an FTE and $40,000 in funding.
I have a motion. We have a second by Senator Owens. Questions? Senator Clem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So when I look at, and I appreciate the reductions that have been recommended so far, but in regards to this issue, it feels like we can come back to 2027 next year. We're talking about increases in drones that continue to increase in our state and foreign land, and just kind of making sure that folks that are wanting to be and hold land in our state of Kansas are not from adversarial countries. It feels like we should slow down the thought on 2027, and then take a look at it next year and see if we really need it. So that would be my only comment. I appreciate the reductions.
Senator Peck, you like to respond?
I appreciate the comments. I agree. When they come back next year, we'll know. Did we way over fund and way over give FTEs, or do they need significantly more?
Other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed, motion carries. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One more, and I'm glad, I know there's some in the audience that are steaming and glad to hear me say just one more. But on page 7, number 4, again, this has to do with the regulatory sandbox program. I just can't believe that this legislation that we passed is going to require that much time and energy. But again, we will learn next session. They can come back and ask for additional money and convince us that they need it. And if they talk just right, we might add it. But my motion is to delete 1.5 FTEs because they're asking for 2.5, and then delete the funding accordingly, so we would reduce the funding by $150,000, leaving $103,000 for that 1 FTE position. So that would be my motion, again, to restate it, delete 1.5 FTEs and $150,000 in funding.
A motion, second by Senator Owens. Questions and discussion on this one? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed, motion carries. And I believe you said that was the last one, Senator Peck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was. I'd be glad to continue making additional cuts, but I can already feel the steam from some in the room, so we will just leave it at that. But I do appreciate the support of the committee. This will give us a position in conference. And again, the agencies, I'm certain, will come to me and to the chair and vice chair, and we'll see how things play out. But I think this is a good Senate position. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other provisos for the Attorney General? Seeing none, we will move on to the Office of the Governor. Does anyone have any changes? Senator Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a proviso.
Since it's just a dollar ad,
Oh. So, Mr. Chairman, in the governor's budget, we had the funding for the executive director of the Office of Early Childhood. It was $102,000. And we know that's a new agency. So I think it's important that we include the funding for that salary for the director of the Office of Early Childhood. So that's my motion,
How much was that?
$102,000. And that,
We have a motion, we have a second. Senator Holscher seconds. Questions or discussion on the salary for the early childhood position? Seeing no questions, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other adjustments to the governor's budget? Seeing none, we'll move on to the insurance department. Anyone have any provisos for the insurance department? Everybody had a chance to look at their notes? Seeing no objections, we'll move on to the Secretary of State. Anyone have any provisos or changes for the Secretary of State? Seeing none, we will move on to the state changes for the state treasurer budget. Senator Cluse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a proviso.
Take one then. Next, if you would, please.
Of course.
He have a friend on that?
It's the SG.
Senator Cluse,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
did everyone get a copy? Oh, sure. I guess you didn't pass any of that away. I thought you did. This is. This is. Funding from last year. No new money. Did everyone get one? You didn't, Mike? Here, Mike. Senator Cluse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and this is just an appropriation for the Pregnancy Compassion Awareness Program. Same thing we've done in the past, SGF. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Senator Fagg seconds. Questions on this proviso? Senator Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this an addition, or is this over 2026, since this is a 2027 budget, or is this continuation of the same funding?
Senator Cluse.
Yes, it's for 27, same funding, $3 million.
Other questions? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for clarification, I understand that we had done this in the past at $3 million. Is that correct?
Senator.
And we've done it for more than 1 year.
Senator Cluse.
Yes.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, we will move on to the legislative agencies. First one is legislative. Does anyone have any changes or provisos for this agency? Seeing none, we'll move on to the coordinating council. Any provisos or language for this one? Moving on, we'll go to the legislature. Any changes on this one? Seeing none, I will move on to Legislative Research Department. Any changes on this one? Moving on, we'll go to the Legislative Division of Post Audit. Any changes on their budget? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Reviser of Statutes. Any changes on their budget? Seeing nothing there, we will move on to other general government. We'll start out with the Kansas Human Rights Commission. Any changes on their budget? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Kansas Corporation Commission. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, if a person wants to look at the Budget Committee report on the Kansas Corporation Commission, you will notice on page 3, number 1, and then page 5, number 1, for both fiscal years, fiscal year 26 and 27, there is a retention bonus that was paid. This was added in conference last year, which may be added back in. But to take a Senate position, I would move that we delete the $32,000 for retention bonuses for fiscal year 26 and then I can do it separate for 27, or we can do it all in one motion, Mr. Chairman. Want to remove it for both years.
Yeah, just go ahead and make the motion for 26 and 27.
The motion is to delete $32,000 for retention bonus in fiscal year 26 and delete $52,000 for retention bonuses in 2027.
That's a motion. We have a second. Senator Owen seconds. Questions, Senator Petty?
And so I just want to be clear, so this is from the agency's fee fund, it's not from SGF?
Senator Peck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is correct.
And, I'm sorry.
Senator Petty?
Senator Peck, could you remind us, there was a reason why the KCC had these retention bonus funds in there. Could you expound on that?
Senator Peck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to pause for a moment, I most likely will have a global motion regarding bonuses tomorrow, but since we're working these agencies one at a time. But to answer the question, it was felt apparently by the conference committee that it was necessary to pay some additional money to certain employees in the Kansas Corporation Commission. And so it's something I'm really not confident. I understand the full reasoning behind these being added in conference, but again, not feeling they're necessary. Conference committee can take a look and be convinced potentially by the agency that they are necessary.
Senator Petty?
Thank you.
Senator Fagg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be opposing this. When you look at the KCC and trying to retain the employees they have, it seems like that they go through a process of training up, and then private industry gets a hold of some good people, and this is not a lot of money in the realm of things, and bonuses can be very effective for keeping some of those people, and that's kind of a total number, so somebody might get a bonus of $3,500. That rings a bell with me on what we do. So it isn't like one guy's going to get $30,000. But they've had enough retention problems that they feel like that's a very useful tool at the right time with the right person. If I'm not mistaken, I think the governor has to approve that. So it isn't just the agency. There was a process you go through in order for them to get those. And there's a list out there that shows how many that the good governor, Senator Peck, we had seen that had a lot that he's going to talk about tomorrow. So I just feel like that's a very effective tool. That's what I would say.
Senator Peterson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe there's some very highly specialized technical skills in the rate-making processes and stuff that some of these people go through. It would behoove us to save on our electric bills, not to lose some of these people. So I will be opposing this motion.
Other comments or questions? Senator Peck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason I bring this forward is because we've got a patchwork of bonuses across agencies. Not all agencies have a bonus. Should we have bonuses? Should we not have any bonuses? I don't know. We have statutorily the longevity bonus that is going away because the legislature removed it. So I just thought that this would be a place to start. I'm not disagreeing that this is not a specialty position, but we have other agencies that have specialty positions that are not necessarily paying a retention bonus. So I'll leave it to the will of the committee. This is not something I'm going to lose any sleep on tonight if I should lose this one.
Any other questions? Senator Fagg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In looking at that overall list, there's some on there that I would question why they give bonuses, no question about it, but this one here I feel like's an important one. Thank you.
Any other comments? All in favor, aye? Opposed?
No.
I believe it failed. Those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed? Motion fails. Senator Peck, that's your last one for this?
For this agency.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr.
okay,
Chairman. Yes, I've
okay.
got plenty more, though, as we go forward.
That's great. So we'll move on now to, did anyone else have anything else on the Corporation Commission? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Citizens Utility Ratepayer Board. Any changes on theirs? Seeing none, we'll move on to Department of Administration. Anything on the Department of Administration? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a proviso that has been drawn up, my understanding, if that could be distributed, please. Last session, while this is being distributed, last session, we had lengthy discussions about the Capitol building and the fact that we have individuals who are not part of the legislature or part of the government who are using office space in the Capitol building, and this is the press. So we passed in our budget bill last year the opportunity to allow the press to pay rent for the space they have in the Capitol, which I think is a real privilege because there are a lot of press around the state that do not have access to the Capitol and office. My recollection was that we charge rent in the amount of half of what has been charged in most other places. Be that as it may, whether I remember correctly or not, my understanding is they have been paying rent at $1 a square foot. Now, I don't know, and so this would be a quick question of staff. I don't know if it was $1 per square foot per month, per year, but they are paying a little bit of rent, but $1 per square foot is almost nothing, Mr. Chairman. And I did receive information that it was $1 per square foot per month. And I presume that was it, but I didn't know. So this proviso would require the agency to move the rent from $1 per square foot to $11 per square foot, which, Mr. Chairman, is still way under what they are charging other agencies in other government buildings. So this would just make certain that we are allowing the press to chip in to help with the cost in the Capitol at $11 per square foot for fiscal year 27.
That's your motion? We have a second by Senator Owens? No, okay. Okay, so do we have a second on that? Oh, Senator Erickson seconds it. Discussion, Senator Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to make sure that we're correct on that because I'm thinking that the state charges on an annual basis $22 to $23 a square foot. So if you had, say, 1,000 square foot times $23, that's $23,000 divided by 12, that'd be about $2,000 a month. If, let's say, they had a 100 square foot office at $11 a month, that's $1,100 a month. So I just would like some clarification. When we're talking about the leases that the Department of Administration is charging for other agencies, is the price per square foot a month or a year? Just to make sure that we're commensurate in what we're talking about here. It is monthly. I rescind my comment because indeed it is monthly. Thank you.
Other questions? Senator Hosher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have concerns with this in terms of the press has there's a fundamental right of access to the State House based on the First Amendment to ensure there's public accountability. This body, both the House and the Senate, have taken actions over the past couple of years to limit the press's ability in this building in terms of taking away press access areas. So like I said, I have extreme concerns with this type of an action because, again, based upon the First Amendment, we need to have an active press to ensure accountability. So I will be opposed. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Oh, excuse me. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just thought that I would briefly close on my motion. This does not deny the press access to us or to the Capitol. It is only if they want to have an office in the Capitol to pay rent. I just want it to be clear because I don't want the press to be excluded from the Capitol or they can't come into the Capitol, they can't approach any of us. I have press coming to my office frequently. Sometimes I want to throw them out. I haven't yet, but that's a whole nother topic, Mr. Chairman. But anyway, I just wanted to be clear that this is in no way designed to keep the press from having access to legislators or the legislative process or the state capitol. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How many square feet do we actually rent right now? What's the current status of that? Are we renting any of this out? I don't know where it's at.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is in the garden level. I do not know the square feet, but what the agency, the press entities that are renting are paying $1 square foot. And I had that information last year. I apologize, I could not find my map. I had a map of the actual office complex. Possibly staff can tell us how many square feet and what type of rent was obtained.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The space in the garden level for press currently is 1,644 square feet. Now, the research in just a brief moment could not answer how much of that space is actually being rented and paid for. But so it's 1,600 plus square feet.
Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we know if this is all just one press agency, or is it more than one press agency?
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last session, when we had discussion, I believe there were 5 or 6 different newspapers, radio stations, TV stations that were renting space or had access to the space prior to us requiring that they pay rent. So it's not just one particular press entity.
Other questions? Senator Holscher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For clarification, I'm thinking that last year the rationale was $1 per month was half of what we charge agencies. Or I'm thinking maybe I need a reminder in terms of the rationale that was used last year on what was proposed versus now. This is saying $11, which would seem to be very much in excess based upon the conversations we had last year.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, staff can tell me, but if I remember correctly, last year it was between $11 and $12 would have been the amount, which was half of what they're charging for other office rental spaces. So I just dropped it down to even 11. I don't know how, apparently, Mr. Chairman, in conference it got dropped to the $1 per square foot, unless the agency just took it upon themselves to ignore our directive and go with $1. And I don't think that happens, so I'm not going to accuse them. I thought I'd throw it out.
Any other discussion on this topic? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Anything else on department administration? Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple meetings ago, I did have a proviso on the parking, and I think we had talked about it should go into administration. We did hand that out at that time, but you said you'd do it at this time.
Yes.
So I would, I don't know whether or not we have that proviso. He doesn't have it. We handed out previously. This proviso, and I'll read the last part of it, basically just says that, to authorize any state employee or member of the legislature to park during the hours of 5 to 11 p.m. in any parking lot or facility under the control of a state agency that is not secured by a gate or an arm, and that would be for 27 or 26 and 27.
Is that your motion? Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Senator Fagg seconds. I'll wait just a minute here so everyone can get a copy of the proviso. We have a motion, a second, or questions or discussion on this proviso? Okay, seeing no questions, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any other changes for department administration? Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have two. As soon as David is available. Mr. Chair, it looks rather lengthy, but it's fairly simple. For over a year now, I have been trying to ascertain what NGOs, non-governmental organizations we have in the state, how much money they're receiving from the state, and there is no ability to gather that data apparently. So what this proviso says is that any NGO or program that is receiving state funds will provide this information upon legislative request and during each budget cycle. So they'll have to give their organizational information as well as the name they're doing business as. Because part of the problem is these NGOs will be doing business as a number of other names under other names, and it's very difficult to trace where the funds are going and for what. So we want to be able to see where our money is going, so they'll have to give that information, a list of all the federal, state, and local funds that they receive, the number of years that they've been receiving this, documentation as to the cost for their service, their most recent 990 form, and that's what they have to provide to the IRS to show how much public monies they are receiving. We will want that information. And so this is only for organizations that receive $50,000 or more in public monies. So if you receive less than that, we're not going to make you abide by this. And also that they will not be required to disclose information considered confidential by state or federal law. So that's the heart of this proviso.
You want to make your motion?
I move that we accept this proviso for the Department of Administration.
I have a motion, second by Senator Owens. Questions on this proviso? Senator Petty.
I just want some clarification here. So I see that it's would begin during the fiscal year of 2027, but it appears that these agencies would be required to provide information from years 20 through 25. Am I reading this correctly?
Senator Erickson.
Yes, we will want that historical information as well as information going forward on a yearly basis.
Senator Petty.
So let me understand, if there is an organization that in year 20 or 21 did receive $50,000 or more from the state of Kansas, but no longer is, are they compelled by this to provide information?
Senator Erickson,
Yes.
Senator Petty.
And where, so then this proviso puts it on the Department of Administration to compile this and make it available in fiscal year 2027 on their website?
Senator Erickson,
Yes.
Senator Petty.
Is there any funding that go along with this for the Department of Administration?
Senator Erickson,
No.
Senator Petty.
Thank you. I kind of at a loss to what the amount of work that would be. I mean, it does say like a one page, but then it also asks for, you know, a tax form as well. And it's, to me, it seems to be rather cumbersome for the Department of Administration to have this in place by fiscal year 2027.
Senator Erickson,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have no idea how much money is being given to these organizations, where it's going, how it's being used. I think the least we can do is ask the NGOs and the organizations getting this money to report that and capture that, so we, as the appropriators, can make sure that it's going to the purposes that we intend it to go to. So I just see this as an accountability and transparency measure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
other questions? Senator Petty.
Well, actually, I mean, we do, there are non-governmental organizations that are receiving funds through the juvenile justice funding. There are non-governmental organizations that are receiving funding through a variety of different organizations that we approve the budgets. And I guess this also would cover anyone that's getting any funding from through those funds that come out from the Attorney General's office dealing with sexual sex and violence towards others. And so those are approved through governmental agencies already, but now is this going to direct those agencies like the Attorney General's office or the governor's office to then provide that information, or will this then become something that goes out with the application for those funds? I'm not sure of the process here.
Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, if you receive more than $50,000 in government money, I don't think it's asking too much to explain in a one-pager what you're using that for, what your measurable outcomes are for. I think that that's very reasonable if you're getting $50,000 or more, and I don't think it's asking too much for our agencies to collect that and make that available.
Senator Petty.
Well, those are already, I mean, those are happening when they apply for VOCA funds or when they apply for other funding. So actually, you know, our governmental agencies have approved these applications. I find this to be just another cumbersome burden being put on those that are providing services throughout the state of Kansas. And also to our agencies that are, you know, whether it's any kind of a grant program, we have others that are receiving funds, sometimes just on a year, 1 year, but sometimes it's on an annual basis. This just seems overly burdensome for the Department of Administration, and to have it on their website by 2027, I find somewhat unachievable.
Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I said, I've been asking for this information, just for a list of what organizations are receiving state funding and what it's being used for. It's easy to give money out the door, but how do we know that that money is actually accomplishing what it is we need it to? This will help us start to get our arms around that, and so that's the reason for the proviso. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Holscher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have concerns with this in terms of that, I fear this is probably going to be a lot more complex than what it initially appears, and that there might be indirect cost. Additionally, it feels like this could use more vetting than, 5 to 7 minutes in the Budget Committee as we're trying to put the budget together. So like I said, those are my concerns in terms of what we're trying to do here with this. Thank you.
Other questions? Senator Clem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To layer on, I do feel in the spirit of transparency that it is right to have a simple request of the agencies to report where the money is going, especially about $50,000. And to Senator Petty's point, if we're already approving these budgets, it should be a simple exercise to provide that information to the Senate to be able to make decisions from. And I think if we look at our state in general, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're a top 5 in the country of how many state employees we have per capita with our Kansas citizens. So I'm going to go back to the spirit of transparency. It seems like a good request. Thank you, sir.
Other comments or questions? Senator Petty.
I understand those comments, but we're now, this is micromanaging. And we have agencies that are making these decisions, that are overseeing these applications and approving them. So I'm really feel like this is, we're now macromanaging as saying, well, maybe they really don't know what they're asking for in those applications. This can be multiple departments across the state that are dealing with these and are putting out these on an annual basis to your communities, my communities. And I guess, yeah, there's now going to be a site where you can go to, but that information is available for when their application process is made. So to me, we're, very much micromanaging here.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Opposed? Motion carries. Any other adjustments for Department Administration? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I contact Revisor with my proviso on the press rent, I ask for something that, and they put it in, but I'm understanding that it is not the proper way to go, so I need to strike 4 words in that proviso. So I'm going to guess you're going to need a motion to, or not necessarily, to strike the words.
Do we need a motion, David? Go ahead and make a motion to strike it, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the proviso that I had introduced earlier for the Department of Administration, I want to strike on line 7 the words "on a monthly basis," and what this would do, because the way that the agency charges rent is amortized over an annual basis, so we would strike "on a monthly basis." And also, as I'm making the motion, just a bit of information, the state rate, we're looking at 11 in this proviso we passed. The state rate's $23.50, more than double. So, but to make it fit, we do need to strike those 4 words. I'm going to call it a technical adjustment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Second by Senator Owens. Any questions on the adjustment? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Opposed, motion carries. So anything else on Department Administration? Senator Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we can go ahead and hand out this proviso, I was thinking that went into another budget, but thankfully the reviser helped me realize that is the Department of Administration budget. So while this is being handed out, I'll give you a little bit of context. We heard, as we're trying to identify how we address some of our nursing shortages in state hospitals and employment shortages elsewhere, one of the things that we found out was that the state of Kansas is still operating under the precise words of an executive order by former Governor Kathleen Sebelius on April 7th, 2004. And what this executive order does, and the spirit of it I agree with, but the implementation of it has been a problem. And that basically is if somebody applies to work for the state of Kansas and gets a denial on their tax clearance, then they are not able to be employed by the state of Kansas. They're not really provided with much information. They're not given an opportunity to rectify that situation. And so what my executive order says is two things. One, if they're applying for work here in 26 and 27, they are to be provided will provide the prospective employee with the details of any outstanding obligation preventing such prospective employee from obtaining a tax clearance for the state of Kansas, and authorize the state agency to extend an offer of employment to a prospective employee in instances where the only reason for denying employment is a failure to receive such tax clearance, and such prospective employee either satisfies the tax obligation that prevented the prospective employee from receiving such tax clearance, or enters into a payment arrangement with the Department of Revenue to satisfy such tax obligation prior to being offered employment. Long story short, we heard that I believe the precise words were a couple hundred employees were denied through our state hospitals and through KDAD's employment because of this one issue. And from my perspective, this allows them to still be offered conditional employment if they're willing to rectify the situation or enter into those payment arrangements. And I think this is maybe one little piece towards helping us step away from those contract nursing and some of these other positions that are hard to fill. So I'll go ahead and move that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, we have a second. Second by Senator Cluse. Question, Senator Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I also heard that in the, well, actually, it was on the sidebar in the presentation. But so this doesn't just have to do with our state hospitals. This would be system-wide. So they, if I understand this correctly, that the agency, once this prospective employee has been vetted and they're offered employment, if they fail to receive a tax clearance, they have to first satisfy the tax obligation or go on a payment plan. And if they do one of those two things, then they can be offered employment.
Senator Owens.
Yes, you are correct. So, and that's where my confusion came in, because I originally thought that this belonged to KDAD's budget, but Department of Administration, the revisers helped me understand that, you know, this fits in the Department of Administration, so it would be a statewide situation. And I would just emphasize that first, we're actually going to provide them the details of why they did not receive a tax clearance. While that is mentioned in the executive order, as I've understood, that hasn't really been followed through. But then two, give them the opportunity to satisfy it or enter into payment arrangements and still be able to be hired.
Thank you.
Other questions, Senator Fagg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this proviso takes care of ending June 30th, 2027. Are you going to have a bill follow-up?
Senator Owens.
Yeah, thank you, and I will next year. Yeah, just with time limits and things like that, I thought a budget proviso made a little bit more sense. Like I said, it came to a surprise to me that we're still operating under an executive order from 2, 3 former governors ago that's applicable. So I think that we could change that.
Senator Fagg.
The only follow-up I'd have to that, if you put them on a payment arrangement and you hire them, and 3 or 4 months down the road, they miss their payments, that might play into that. So I'm just giving you food for thought there, Senator.
No, and
Senator Owens.
thank you, and that's a fair thought. However, then the state knows where they're employed and could proceed with garnishments if they needed to.
Anyone else have any questions on the proviso? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else for Department Administration? Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have one more.
Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what this proviso does is implement a process known as performance-based payments. We've heard of performance-based budgeting, but what this would do is for fiscal year 2027, all new programs would be subject to performance-based payments. So when they are initially awarded, they would get 50% of their money. They would have to, in their application, give a statement of purpose, also have clearly defined measurable outcome metrics, target outcomes for the fiscal year, an explanation of why this is beneficial to the state. And so again, as we so often do, we appropriate money. We have no idea if it's accomplishing the intended purpose or not. This would say you're going to get half the money up front, but you must perform in order to get the remainder of your payment. This is a technique that's being implemented in other states across the country just to ensure that we are getting outcomes, not necessarily just giving inputs and not following through. So with that, I will move this proviso, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion, we have a second. Senator Peck seconds. Question, Senator Petty.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that this certainly is a bill that should have a hearing and be vetted, but I see it not being appropriate to be put into a budget with, I don't know, let's think about our new state hospital. So they only get 50% of the money up front, but they need to bill it. So, there's just so many questions that would be raised by we'll approve you, but we're going to pay 50% up front. How does that figure in with federal grants, with federal applications? I think the senator, she chairs a couple of committees that this could be definitely have a hearing. So I would be a no.
Senator Erickson, you'd like to speak to that?
Certainly, this is for all new programs going forward. This is not an unusual method of doing business in the private sector. And as I said, many government agencies are now implementing this to ensure that we are funding those things that will, one, have identifiable, measurable outcomes, and we're holding groups accountable. We see this all the time where we're promised all these, if we invest in this program, it's going to solve so many problems. We appropriate the money, and it seems like we still have the problems. So this just puts some accountability into, you need to deliver results as you say you're going to deliver, and then we will pay you the remainder. So I think it's just best practice, in my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other questions or discussions? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry for asking this question. I'm going to show a little ignorance here, but on the first paragraph, it talks about verified by DOB. Is that date of birth or?
Senator Erickson.
I believe that refers to the Department of Budget.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Other questions? Senator Holscher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this to me feels a little bit out of scope of what we're to be doing on this committee. And as a former speaker said, it feels like this needs a hearing and again, a full vetting process in terms of what all is going to be requested here versus what we're doing here today in Budget Committee. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will be happy to bring a bill into Committee on Government Efficiency next year, but I feel like it's important enough that we start putting these guardrails in place, so thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed, motion carries. Anything else for Department Administration? Seeing none, we're going to move on to OITS. Anything on Otis? Moving on, we'll go to the Government Ethics Commission. Any changes on their budget? Moving on to the Office of Administrative Hearings. Any changes to their budget? Moving on, Department of Commerce. Any changes on the Commerce budget? Senator Petty.
Mr. Chair, I have a proviso. Mr. Chairman.
Senator Petty.
Thank you. So I know that in our budget recommendations that we have in front of us, and that there was then some changes that were spoken to, I believe, yesterday by Senator Alley. And so I was asking Dylan if he could clarify for us exactly what we have now and when it comes to the Department of Commerce.
Dylan, could you speak to this, please?
Chairman, certainly. So our understanding is that there was a motion that was made and approved yesterday that modified the original recommendation on the Department of Commerce budget. The new position is that there is $500,000 appropriated for public broadcasting, that the language for the Smoky Hills Public Television Station has been removed, or public radio has been removed, and that there is $500,000 added back in for the Creative Arts Industries Commission in 27. There are no adjustments on that to 26. So that is our understanding of the current posture of the recommendation.
Senator Alley, could you?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Senator Petty.
So I want clarification then. So is there any Arts Commission money in 2027?
Mr. Chairman, our understanding is that there would be $500,000 for the Arts Commission in FY27. And we will update the Economic Development Initiatives Fund table to reflect that after we're done reporting out.
And if I remember correctly, Senator Alley, did you not mention a match?
There was a match, one-to-one match, federal match on that money that was in the arts. When you took it to zero, you lost all that match. We put back in $500,000, and there's a $500,000 match.
Senator Petty.
Thank you. I appreciate what Senator Alley just said, because it is a one-to-one match. We already rank 46th in the country in arts funding. If we look at our neighboring states, Missouri is 7th, Nebraska is 25th, Oklahoma is 29th, Kansas is, Colorado is 40th, and we're 46th. So that one-to-one match brings in federal dollars, and also these dollars are spent all across our state, not just in one part of the state. There were 108 projects that were last year that were funded in 32 of our counties. So it's something that benefits across the state of Kansas. I'm glad to see that we are keeping in $500,000 in both 26 and 27. I do think, but I think that we are still woefully underfunding the arts and to the detriment of our communities.
Any other, so you're not offering a proviso, correct?
No, it was there, or it's there,
Okay,
so.
I thought it was. Okay. Anything else for Department of Commerce? Seeing none, we're going to move on to Healthcare Stabilization Fund Board of Governors. Any changes on their budget? Moving on to the judicial branch. Any changes to the judicial branch? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the Budget Committee report, in the Budget Committee report on page 7, there was an add of $200,000 State General Fund and $100,000 State General Fund. One was for expungement clinics, the other is for driver's license clinics. And I just cannot be convinced that that is something that should be State General Fund. If the agency determines there's value, I believe they could have these clinics with grants or other existing funds or something. So my motion would be, and we're talking about in fiscal year 2027 and I can do these one at a time, Mr. Chairman, if you prefer, delete the $200,000 State General Fund for the administration of expungement clinics provided by Kansas Legal Services.
That's your motion?
Unless you want me to make both dollar amounts in one motion.
Whatever you want to do.
I don't think it's going to matter whether making it fail or pass by if I put them together, so I'm going to save time and just put, the motion would be to delete $200,000 for the expungement clinics, delete $100,000 State General Fund for the driver's license clinics provided by the Kansas Legal Services. Again, I'm not saying that these are not clinics that benefit some Kansans, and it's not big dollar amount, but it is State General Fund money.
Okay, we have a motion by Senator Peck. Do we have a second? Seeing none, the motion fails. Anything else on judicial branch? Seeing none, we'll move on to Judicial Council. Any changes to their budget? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Board of Indigence Defense Services. Any changes to their budget? Senator Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a proviso. All right, Mr. Chairman. So basically what this does is allows them to keep what is approximately $1 million that would be lapsed due to Section 149, Chapter 177 of the 2025 SB 125. Long story short, it allows them to keep that $1 million to be utilized for the expert witnesses. They've had a significant increase in expert witness costs this year, and well, they've got to pay their bills. I realize that the Board of Indigent Defense is not the it's not an agency we like to have a lot of conversation about, but it's an incredibly important agency to the constitutional rights of those that are accused, and ensuring that they do have adequate funding is very important.
That's your motion?
That is my motion.
I have a motion, I have a second by Senator Cluse. Discussion? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with what was previously added, what would be the total dollar amount that would be available for expert witnesses for this agency?
Senator Owens.
Stand by. I will look that up unless the revisers or KLRD beats me to it.
Senator Owens.
Thank you. So there wasn't any addition in 26. There was an addition for 27. And so this equates to about the same dollar amount because they've exceeded their budget for 26 by that amount.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with all due respect, you said they've exceeded by that amount. Do you mean the $1 million?
Right, roughly
Senator
that
Owens.
amount. Actually, I believe their total bill this year is in the 4.2 range and arguably could use more funding, but this is the minimum they need to keep their lights on and keep the bills paid.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? We have a motion, second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Anything else on the Board of Indigence Defense Services? Moving on, we'll go to the Kansas Public Employees Retirement System, CAPERS. Any changes? Seeing none, we'll move on to Kansas Lottery. Anyone have anything on the lottery? Move on to Racing and Gaming Commission. Seeing nothing, we'll move to Department of Revenue. Senator Cluse. Oh, okay, you want to do yours first? Senator Owens first. Yeah, he was pointing to you, so Senator Owens.
All right, well, let's go ahead. And so for the Kansas Department of Revenue, I don't have this in writing, but in the budget subcommittee when we discussed this was a $5 million SGF transfer to the Department of Revenue, along with associated language as it relates to parking on the campus of KU Medical Center. While I understand the intent of the motion, I don't think the directive is clear because who owns the parking garage, the bond indebtedness that has to be paid, and a number of other things. So at this time, I would make a motion that we remove the $5 million that is transferred from SGF to the, I can't remember the language. I had it in front of me. Give me just 1 second.
To the University of Kansas Medical Center.
Yeah, that language for 2027, that, so number 4 and number 5 on page 6, I would request that we delete those. The addition of 5 million and the specification that it goes to the Department of Revenue's budget to University of Kansas Medical Center to cover the cost of employee parking for 27.
We have a motion, we have a second by Senator Clamp. Any questions on this? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed, motion carries. Did you have any other, Senator Oates? Okay, Senator Cluse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do have a proviso. Here. Pretty simple here. We are going to, on page 6 of the Budget Committee report, be recommendation number 3 concerning the modernization. The Senate Tax Committee recommended a reduction on that modernization fee from $4 to $1. So that $3 basically accounts to around $12 million annually. That would go into the state highway fund. So that would be my motion to have that deleted.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second by Senator Peterson to delete that? Questions or discussion? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the modernization fund was originally implemented for what purpose?
Senator Cluse.
If I understand it right, for the registrations, vehicle registrations that were being transferred over to the county treasurers.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having been around a while, I remember when this was implemented. It was implemented for purchasing a $10 million modernization system. And it was a promise that this would only be charged as long as it was necessary to pay for the system. Many years ago, the system was paid for, but we have continued to charge this surcharge on vehicle registrations. I realize $4 is not a lot of money, but I hear nonstop complaints, Mr. Chairman, from constituents about the price of registering their vehicle in the state of Kansas. We should either rename this fund for transparency and honesty to let Kansas vehicle owners know where this money is going and why it's going to where it's going. I have advocated, I've sponsored legislation over the years to eliminate this $4 surcharge. To the Department of Transportation, the State Highway Fund, this, in round numbers, $11 million is not going to make or break them. They've got a nearly $1.5 to $2 billion budget. So I think this was something we discussed at length in the Taxation Committee when we recommended the budget, and it was overwhelmingly supported that we should delete this $3 at least for this 1 year. And so I'm going to oppose the motion. I just don't see the benefit of charging vehicle owners when they register their vehicles for a modernization fund surcharge that is improperly named and causes great confusion. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I think I've said enough. I'll be opposing. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Senator Petty.
Well, I think that's kind of a semantics debate there, but I would say that I think we need to keep in mind that the funds that go to KDOT, those are part of the Ike plan. They go into the Ike plan. The Ike plan is planned out for across our states for bridge and highway miles. And when we take dollars from there, then those projects, whether in your part of the state or my part of the state, can't be completed. So that has been successful and worked well for all of our communities. So I think we need to keep that in mind when we started looking at diverting these funds and taking from the state highway fund. I support this motion.
Other questions or comment? Senator Clem?
I'm sometimes, thank you, Mr. Chair, I'm reluctant to support Senator Petty. However, I do feel like there's a significant amount of money that gets migrated over from the State Highway Fund for standard items, about $149 million. There's an additional, if we talk about this 11 or 12 million, plus an additional request to pull another, potentially some additional funding out for something in Salina, you're getting to about 185 million of potential revenue coming out of the State Highway Fund, which to the point is, it does, as a sitting on transportation, I do feel like there are a significant amount of funds that are going to come out, and the goal should be we have wonderful highways to continue that, and those funds are needed for that. So just a little statement, I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Senator Frag.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I support this also. When you look at the 185 million that comes out total, it seems like we just get into the highway fund and we take a little piece here and a little piece there, and before you know it, got 185 million out of that. That should be for roads. So thank you.
Senator Peterson.
I agree that it should be renamed to be appropriate. However, I'm supporting this motion because, a lot of this goes like Cerebral Palsy Research Foundation. It helps build the license plates for us, and there's some good things funded out of it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Anything else on Department of Revenue? Ask Clem if he had. Senator Clem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Conceptual motion. We had a lot of debate around tags and the cost of production of tags. We had come out with a recommendation of an $11 increasing, allowing a fee to be charged of $11 for specialty tags. Then we learned through that conversation that regular tags are just under $10. I think it's a $9.49 or $9.89 kind of a price point for the production of regular tags. So there's a request to allow a charge of $10 for all tags to go in as a motion to allow the tags to be covered on the production of tags. It's a significant cost to the state. We never like additional fees, but at this point, with the cost of where plates are at and how they're currently constructed, it's probably a worthy motion. So the motion would be to move all tags, to allow all tags to be charged a $10 fee.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Senator Clue seconds. Questions and discussion. Senator Petty.
Well, I'll support this motion, but I don't think that it really addresses the issue. I think that, the $4 million that was being asked for by the department addresses the issue. This is fills a hole, but it doesn't really address the issue.
Any other questions, Senator Owens?
Just out of curiosity, Mr. Chairman, for the maker of the proviso, does this then replace the item number 1 on page 5, which is the $11 fee for specialized and personalized, and just do a blanket $10 fee across all?
Senator Clem.
Mr. Chair, yes, it does.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that
Appreciate the clarification.
in the event that it passes.
Any other questions? Or Senator Peck.
Mr. Chairman, so with this $10 fee for license plates, plus the previous language of $3, we're increasing the price of license plates by $13. Now, this would only be a proviso, so it would be a 1 year, and then the price of plates would go back down. That's presented in the form of a question.
Senator Clem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is correct. We would look to create legislation to address that going forward.
Senator Peck.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it sounds like, from what I was just told, that we're going to be looking at adding $10 permanently to the cost of license plates, which, of course, Kansas motorists will not complain to their legislator about this at all. So just to comment, I'm a no. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. Anything else on Department of Revenue? Seeing nothing, we'll move on to Board of Tax Appeals. Anyone have any changes to the Board of Tax Appeals? Seeing nothing, we'll move on to Department of Education. I think that's Senator Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I do not have a proviso written up. I apologize for that. But one of the things that I certainly noticed is that while there were definitely some pretty significant cuts to K-12 education this year, not of the legislature's doing, to be clear. However, just due to simple enrollment being down, we saw enrollment being down in standard K-12, but we certainly saw a marked increase in the number of kids that need special education and the amount of needed funds there. And so, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we increase special education funding by $5 million.
We have a motion to add $5 million to special education. Do we have a second? Senator Clem seconds. Questions on adding money to special education? Senator Petty.
Well, I do appreciate us taking a position on having some funding in there for special education. This is very much below what we know will cover that cost. And is this for 26 and 27, sir?
My motion was just for 27.
Thank you.
Other questions? Senator Hosher.
Yes, same thing along those lines. Due to the declining enrollment, I believe our schools returned over, or approximately 232 million in funding of their allocated funding, but we need 145 for SPED. So I appreciate a move in the appropriate direction, but it still puts us severely under where we need to be.
Other questions on the motion to add 5 million special ed? Seeing no other questions, all in favor, aye? Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else for Department of Education? Senator Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a proviso. So as during this session, as we've been looking at the various budgets and knowing that rents, the cost of rents have increased for many of our agencies, as part of the Department of Education in their 2027 was a request for $99,000 for an increase in the rent for 2027. And that is what my motion is for.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Senator Holscher seconds. Questions and discussion on adding $99,073 to the Department of Education. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion fails. Any other provisos for Department of Education? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Kansas Historical Society. Any changes on their budget? Seeing none, we'll go to the School of the Blind. Any changes on School of the Blind? Seeing none, we'll go to the School of the Deaf. Any questions on theirs or changes? Seeing none, we'll go to the State Library. Any changes on the State Library? Okay. Committee, the State Historical Society, there is a proviso that they would like for us to consider. They have some federal funds coming in, and we just have to give them permission to accept those funds. Edgar's passing them out, so I'll give everybody a minute to look at them. I asked staff, this is a brand-new program that the federal government has, that they're funding the Historical Society, so if anyone has any questions, I'll make a motion that we accept this, seconded by Senator Peterson, and if there's questions, we'll see if staff can answer them. Senator Petty.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it looks like this, as you've brought forward, would allow them to accept, to make a submission for potential funding in both 26 and 27.
That's the way I read it.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this? All in favor, aye? Opposed, motion carries. Anything else on the state library?
This is yours.
Oh, okay. So we didn't have this in there.
Not
That gives each small library. You second it, okay? Sorry about that. I have one other proviso. This adds $322,000 SGF to the grants to libraries and library systems grants to aid account and add the following language: that notwithstanding the provision of KSA 752555 and amendments thereto, or any other statute during the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027, expenditures shall be made by the above agency from the grants to libraries and library systems, grants in aid account to distribute $1,000 to each eligible local public library, and provide further that any remaining monies in such account after making distributions in accordance with this subsection shall be distributed in accordance with the formula in KSA 75-2555 and amendments thereto. We had put this in the past. It wasn't there last year, but basically there's a formula that the libraries use to distribute their funding. And it's basically based on the bigger libraries get more because they have more books, more people. This gives every library $1,000. Small, large, doesn't matter. Then they use the formula to do the other. Some of the small libraries get as low as $157 total. That's what they get to run their library. So we had done this a couple of years ago, and so that's why I brought it forth again this time, and I make that motion. We have a second. Senator Alley,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I certainly support this motion, but did we not do this when we did the report out?
we did, but they give it to me. Just a minute. Is this just adding the language, because we put the money there? Subcommittee had put the money. Right, but the money was already there. All we're doing is putting the language for the dollars. Are we adding the dollars? Senator Alley, I guess we are adding the dollars. We didn't do it correctly, I guess, when we did the subcommittee.
Appreciate you correcting that for us. Thank you.
Other questions, Senator Owens?
Mr. Chairman, I definitely do want to qualify and make sure that we get this right, only because I am looking at the Budget Subcommittee document, and it does say we added 322,000 FGF for this purpose, and that the Senate Committee on Ways and Means concurred with the Senate Ways and Means on Higher Education. So everything I'm reading says that 322 is already in the budget, and that if we add another 322, we're making it 644.
It has to go to, however, this proviso makes it so that goes only to local libraries.
What this does is guarantees 1,000, because there's two different statutes, one for the regional libraries and one for local and one for regional. And this corrects the language. We are not putting twice the money.
Roger that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So it's the same money we had but it's clean-up language, I guess is the easiest way to say it, to make sure that it goes to both sets of libraries. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed, motion carries. You what? Okay. Okay, we have Senator Petty.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment for the libraries, and we'll get that passed out. While it's being passed out, when the subcommittee worked this budget, there was a funding stream there that went specifically to restore the Blind Information Access Program. It's $10,000, $667. This restores that funding back into FY 2026. So, Mr. Chairman, the funding for the Blind Information Access Program was deleted, and this restores that funding of $10,667 for the Blind Information Access Program in 2026.
We have a motion. We have a second. Second by Senator Fagg. Questions on this funding? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else on State Library? Okay, we'll move on to Department of Corrections. Anyone have any changes for Department of Corrections? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got one, and if they can pass that out, please.
You didn't have corrections, did you? No. Do you have anything else till we get the
Well, kind of while she's passing this out, talk about it a little bit. The agency requested included an increase of 7.2 million, all from the Correctional Institution Building Fund, for a total of 11.4 million. The CIBF for rehabilitation and repair of adult correctional facilities for FY 2027. Per statute, the Department of Corrections appropriated 4.9 million from the State Gaming Revenue Fund. So basically, this is kind of getting us back in balance with that. And so what we are actually doing is reducing that by the 7,255,041. It's not an add, it's a deduct, Senator Peck. So,
That's your motion?
yes.
Okay, do we have a second? Senator Peck seconds. Questions and discussion, Senator Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'm not quite following the intent of this motion, recognizing, I mean, from what little I know about, they have an awful lot of needs in their physical facilities. So help me understand it better.
Senator Peck.
I can go ahead and finish reading this. I know just a little bit more than you do, but not much.
Senator Peck.
Per statute, the Department of Correction is appropriated that 4.9 million for the State Gaming Revenue Fund, minus the amount given to the Department of Administration for building insurance each year. So the Division of Budget reduced the agency's request to the balance available. The DOB adjustment was not done until the governor's budget recommendation was released. As this was after the special budget committee, which we had, made our recommendation. The SBC recommendation concurred with the agency request and does not reflect the adjustment. So if you look at that, the approved part was actually 4.182 million across the board. And we had adjustments in there that we decided not to do. So this is allows for, there's the governor's part, there was some insurance in there. They come that, so this is just a reduction to that. It puts us down to our basis of what we had.
Any other questions?
I don't know how else to describe that to you.
Seeing no other questions, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other provisos for Department of Corrections? Seeing nothing, seeing no more motions on that, we will move to Adjutant Generals. Senator Fagg.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if this fits under, oh, no, that's it. Never mind. Thank you.
Anything for Adjutant Generals? Seeing nothing, we'll move on to Kansas Bureau of Investigation, KBI, and the adjustments for the KBI. Seeing no adjustments, we'll move on to the Emergency Medical Service Board. Any changes for this agency? Seeing none, we will move on to the State 911 Board. Senator Cluse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a proviso, but I would like to make a motion for the mapping, the 2 million, that would come out of the 911 fund. That would be my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Petty. Questions on moving the SGF, replacing it with 911 funds? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Anything else on 911? Next, we'll have the State Fire Marshal. Any changes on the State Fire Marshal? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I looked at the Budget Committee report, and on fiscal year 26, on page 4, number 2, it says to add $87,000 and 1 FTE for the mobile device specific IT employee. I probably am going to make a motion, but I thought I would see clarification. $87,000 when we've only got a few months left seems like excessive amount of money for that IT employee. And so because of, if someone wants to answer that question, fine. If not, I'm going to make a motion regarding that particular item.
Who is on the subcommittee for the state fire marshal? You were. Was you chair, Senator Fagg? Okay, you want to comment on?
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay,
I was
okay.
doing something else here, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Fagg?
You want to repeat that question, or are you okay?
Senator Peck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I'll be glad to repeat that question, and no one's ever going to say I'm okay. But it shows one position, and it's an add of $87,000 plus for one position for 26. And I'm going to see what kind of an answer I get from the chair of the subcommittee.
Senator Fagg? Oh, Senator Owens, would you like to?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It took me a second. You know, we've all been on, what, a couple dozen subcommittees and have to refresh our memory. So I remember having this conversation specifically with the fire marshal's office. They already have, my question was, why can't you use OITS for this function? We expect that from others. And their response was quite simply, they don't know our software. We use a very specialized type of software. They're unable to assist us with that. And so it's very much slowing down the work they're doing and costing them more money to get off-site assistance. And so by adding this one employee, they would be specially trained and aware of this software that they utilize in that department.
Senator Peck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the explanation, the answers, so I'm not going to make my motion on that particular, but if the chair of the subcommittee has some additional information for the benefit of the committee, that's fine. If you want to just want me to keep going, I'll keep going.
Senator Fagg?
The only thing I would add would be onboarding expense was a major item with that for this new employee of the 87,000. So that's all I would add to it.
Senator Peck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I noticed in fiscal year 26 and 27, we added 5.5 FTE positions. Now, it says to correct the number of positions, but I'm not certain. Adding FTE positions, apparently there's something there that we need a better explanation on before I make a motion.
Senator Fagg? Senator Fagg? Senator Fagg?
Mr. Chairman, this has to do with the deletion of like last year's. There was some shifting in the department, so there wasn't actually any new FTEs added, right? Yeah. No new FTEs were added to that number. It had to do with realignment from the prior year and adjustments within the department as far as with employees within. So I just know there wasn't any new FTEs is what I'd say to you.
Senator Peck?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to belabor the point and continue asking questions, but anytime I see an ad of FTEs, apparently, I'm wondering if these positions are even filled or not. I'm not going to ask all those questions, but I'm going to stand down on the fire marshals because we've got plenty of other provisos and plenty of other cuts to make as we've been making recently on this budget bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other Questions or provisos for State Fire Marshal? Seeing none, we will move on to the Kansas Highway Patrol. Anyone have provisos for the Highway Patrol? Senator Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually have two provisos. Let's start with the pay plan proviso, if we might.
It's got two provisos. Did you have one? I don't know. I'm guessing.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, what this does is this allows the transfer state highway funds for the 2.5% increase in the pay progression plan for the State Highway Patrol. This is a proviso that we have put in plenty of years past, and because they are in a pay progression plan, when we historically do the raises for state employees, that they are not included because they're on a specific pay progression plan. And so this just specifically addresses the pay progression plan for the State Highway Patrol, and these are state highway fund dollars, Mr. Chairman. So I would make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Senator Cluse seconds. Questions on this proviso? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Owens, you said you had another one?
I do, Mr. Chairman. And we'll go ahead and get that next one handed out. So when we work the Highway Patrol's budget, one of their budget asks, well, they had 8 or 10 of them, and they were all from the State Highway Fund except for the relocation of Troop C and Troop S over to Salina and adding a structure to move them off the Marymount College. If you guys will recall, last year, we funded moving the communication center for the Highway Patrol off of Marymount over to this new facility that's currently under construction. And as a result of that, there was a previous request to move Troop C and Troop S. That wasn't funded last year. It was back in there this year. Originally, the subcommittee considered, instead of funding that, yep, that's the right one. Just making sure we're getting all of our things right here. We'll get that handed out. Ultimately, after having visited with the agency on a number of occasions, recognizing that there would be significant dollar savings in building this facility alongside the facility that is about to begin construction, which is the communication center, would ultimately save the state quite a bit of money. The Marymount College, without question, for those of you that have not been out there, is dilapidating and falling apart. It needs $80 to $100 million worth of repairs to bring it up to standards. So my proposal is twofold. One, instead of the funding that we did set aside for the tasers, which was 2.4 million SHF, deleting that and adding 28.6 million all in state highway funds to construct and equip the Troop C headquarters for Salina in 2027. I'd like to bring that up for consideration by the full committee and move that motion forward, Mr. Chairman.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Cluse. Discussion on this proviso. Senator Petty.
I'll just bring to the committee's attention that, again, this is deleting 28.6 million or expenditures from the State Highway Fund to construct and equip this Troop C headquarters in Salina. That is taking money from the IKE program and diverting those funds. For those of us who have a little historical memory here, called the Bank of KDOT, we don't want to go back down that road again. So if this is the will of the body, it should be from SGF and not from highway funds.
Other questions and comments? Senator Cluse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just add, we did pass this recommendation out of state building. And then the 2024 assessment for the estimate for the repairs to modernize existing structures was about 116 million, which Senator Owens did allude to. But the dilapidated facility, and then you think about the cost for Troop C alone, around 12 million. There is a potential buyer to unload this property as well if they were moved. And again, yeah, it'll come out of the SHF, but we are once again deleting that 3.2 in that.
Other questions, comments? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, and I think I'm with Senator Petty if I heard what she said, we're taking this money out of the highway fund. And so you add this up here and you add up the other part that we talked about, you know, that was going to be like $36 million. This is taking this up. So the new number would be $185 million. I just don't think at this time that is a big ticket item, and our road fund needs the money that needs to be there. And I just feel like at this time, I'd like to, that's money where we could save for this year. Thank you.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This doesn't read right to me. It says from State Highway Fund to construct and equip and Troop C. Does it mean and move or?
Senator Owens.
Yeah, it would be, yes, to State Highway Funds to construct and equip and relocate the Troop C headquarters.
Other questions? Senator Peck.
So the word relocate should be stuck in after the word and before troop, okay? And then I do have a comment. This committee just decided a little bit ago we were going to put some $18 million into the State Highway Fund by adding a surcharge and an extra fee on on license plates. So, hey, if we're going to put the money in, let's put it to a good use. And Kansas Highway Patrol is a good place to put this. So I'll be a yes on this one.
Senator Cluse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that, Senator. I'll see how I take that anyways. I just wanted to add again the amount of money, you know, some of these projects we've waited and we've already stuck quite a bit of money in. We appropriated, I think, $500,000 just to fix a cap that was on that property. And just like, where do you stop? We've got plenty of money in SHF, so that would be my final comments.
Other comments? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you think that you need to do that, would that be something that we should bond out? That's our other option that you'd have with something like this.
Senator Owens.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that, you know, there is that is certainly an option, right? If we want to bond it and then ultimately pay those bond payments out of the State Highway Fund. I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I think that it's important to recognize that the entire Kansas Highway Patrol budget, other than some federal funding, does come out of the State Highway Fund. So this is certainly not uncommon or unprecedented that we do this. In addition, the State Highway Fund had already approved, I believe, another 6 or 7 million coming out of there for a scale house, which we didn't fund. And so in essence, there's already about 10 million that the State Highway Fund was aware of that would be coming out. And so it's just something to consider. I'm not opposed, again, to bonding it out over a longer period if that gets it done. But I do think that we'll definitely save a couple $1 million at a minimum just in construction costs, architecture, and things like that by allowing this to be constructed at the same time as the communication center there in Salina.
Senator Clem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I feel Senator Fagg has a valid point on the bonding. We are quite a bit under the percent limits on bonding. To give the option, I don't know how that could be worded, but to look at that and see what's the best financial decision for the state, and also not get into utilizing or taking away some of the Ike funding. There could be an option there that might be a good one to at least give the option to be able to bond. So it might be a little tweak to this to allow bonding.
David? Senator Owens, so I guess this is your motion. It's up to you whether you would want to alter it any, which would make a adjustment to bonding, maybe the whole thing or part of it or some combination, or
So
I don't know how, but that's up to you. It's your proviso.
how about if we change the wording with the second's approval to add 28.6 million in expenditures or bonding authority from SHF to construct, equip, and relocate Troop C headquarters?
Is that your motion?
Yep, if that works, if that works for the committee, then I'll make that motion.
Okay, it's seconded by Senator Cluse. So discussion on the alternative funding. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was supportive, now I'm not. I don't know why we should bond this. Why should we push the debt out? Why should we increase the cost? Because bonding, there's a cost of issuing the bonds, there's interest on top, and we've got the funds. Sure, I understand that it takes from the state highway fund, which I don't really like, but I just cannot support bonding. I don't do debt. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Other discussion?
I would just might add,
Senator Owens.
Mr. Chairman, I just might add that my expectation with this is that that we'll continue to have discussions after this makes it into the budget, and by the time we finish the budget process, there'll be a definitive direction that will come into play before final votes on the budget. But for now, making sure that it is in there and one of those two options, I do think would be beneficial.
Senator Cluse.
So it was my understanding that the bonding would be about 2 million annually.
Senator Owens.
Well, I could pull out my amortization calculator here. Depending on obviously how much we bonded that out, if we did say 28 point, let's do 29 million. And let's say we're going to get a really great rate at, I don't know what bonds are going for right now, but Senator Fagg knows better than I do. But if we did that over a 20-year bond at 6% interest, you're about, hold on, not 20 months, 20 years. That would come up to roughly $2.5 million a year in bonding out of the state highway fund, to be clear.
Okay. Other questions? Everybody okay? Okay, so we're voting on the amended proviso. All in favor, aye? Opposed?
No.
All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Six, so the proviso passes. Okay, anything else for the Highway Patrol? Okay, we'll move on to Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the Governor's Budget Amendment 1, Item 2, there's a Highway Patrol cloud mitigation cost. I think that's probably when we would address this at this point.
Yes.
That's on the back page, number 2.
Item number 2 on the back page. Senator Fagg.
So as you see, the Highway Patrol faces a critical deadline to replace its end-of-life servers and IT hardware for June 30th, 2026, as the current infrastructure is set to lose vendor support. So as you can read through that, that's quite detailed as to why, but to support the agency mitigation efforts, that's why the budget was suggested by the governor to include $500 and $5,000 for a Highway Patrol Operations Fund in FY 2027.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Senator Peterson seconds. Questions on the IT? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else on the Kansas Highway Patrol? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Sentencing Commission. Anything on the Sentencing Commission? Seeing nothing, seeing no other amendments to the Sentencing Commission, we'll move on to KC Post. Any adjustments? Seeing no adjustments, we'll move on to Agriculture, Department of Agriculture. Any adjustments there? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know if the Department of Agriculture is watching and they heard you recognize the senator from Montgomery, they are just thrilled with the fact that the chair of the Ag Committee is going to say some things about their budget. To begin with, I've got some proviso language that I want to hand out. It's simple. It is language. I'm going to go ahead and explain it while it's being handed out. It's language that was in last year's budget bill that was supposed to be a one-time, one-year proviso and should not have been in 315, but it is. So this is just to strike that language that was put in last year. So it really doesn't do anything negative. The agency requested this, and so it's just a cleanup of something they had seen that should not have been added in to this year's budget bill.
That's your motion?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Senator Erickson seconds. Questions on the proviso? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Although I could talk a lot about the Department of Agriculture, the KDHE Environment, the State Fair, the Water Office, Wildlife and Parks, we'll save that for another time. So I don't even have anything. I know a committee is disappointed.
Okay, so anyone have anything on KDHE Environment? Seeing nothing. Kansas State Fair? Seeing no adjustments. Kansas Water Office? Seeing no adjustments. Department of Wildlife and Parks? Seeing no adjustments. Well, committee, that is all we had on the schedule for today. Thank you all for being here long. Excuse me, Senator Fagg. Okay. We have one on Department of Wildlife and Parks. Senator Fagg has a proviso.
We also were going to take care of transportation.
Okay, so, okay. Yeah,
It's just the Department of Transportation.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to give you a briefing on this one, there is a park fee fund that has a balance in it. So each year, as money goes into that, there's interest earned. And as the interest is earned, it goes into SGF. We've got other funds out there that actually stays with the fund. And if you think about this, we try to get the parks and wildlife and parks to stand on their own without any SGF as much as possible. This would do, the interest would be allowed to stay in that fund instead of going to SGF. So we have another one that they have that actually stays with the fund, and we got this one that goes out and goes to SGF. This one here will make it consistent and will also give them some extra funding that I'm sure they could use.
Is that your motion? Of a motion, do we have a second? Senator Alley seconds. Questions or discussion on the proviso? Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that's a good recommendation. However, I do think they need to report how much money they're getting back in every year. So whatever date you want that report at, I would add that to the proviso.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Senator Fagg?
Yes, we can add that to that.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Committee, we have one more. We have the Department of Transportation. Did anyone have any adjustments for transportation? Senator Peterson.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I hope you take it conceptual. We kind of glossed over a piece in our committee when we were working this bill. There was the adding the 700 for 26 was adding the $723,072 off from the special city county highway fund to align expenditures with the estimated revenues from the state highway fund consensus revenue estimating group for 26. And basically the same thing except for 734,481 for 27.
Is that your motion?
That would be my motion.
Okay, and we have a second by Senator Clem. Any questions or discussion on this motion and proviso? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else on transportation? Seeing no other adjustments. Committee, that is the last one on the list for today. Thank you all for being here on an extended meeting. So thank you, and we are adjourned.